Yeah.
Look, and so I'm probably not probably I'm more than likely the exception, right? Where
Yeah.
I've grown so jaded that even as a Florida State fan, like from all sports, I'll say in general, I'm
Yeah.
no longer that part of that passionate fan club. And
Mhm.
that's talking about the merge. College football is one of the biggest. No, they have some of the biggest, like the most passionate fans, right? Whatever team it is, whether it's
Yeah.
Clemson or UM or Florida
Mhm.
State. Um, and
Georgia, yeah, go down the
a
line.
few years ago, I kind of, I just separated myself from that whole thing, whether it was pro
Yeah.
sports, college sports, and I look at it as entertainment. Like I want the Canes to do well because I grew up in Miami. Ben and I have known each other for 25 years. I went to Florida
Mhm,
State. I
mhm.
want the Nose to do well.
Yep.
He's the
But
reason I went to a Florida State Miami game.
yeah, I got you that ticket. That's right. And we
Yeah,
lost.
Yeah.
Oh,
2002. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
Nice.
Ed Reed, baby.
And
Thank you very much.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like if the team's not doing well, I'll watch them on TV, but
Mhm.
I'm not spending my money to go buy a ticket to watch
Yeah.
Florida State get, annihilated or
Yeah.
Miami get destroyed and look like they don't belong with another Division 1 team.
Yeah.
And that's just me. Like I've gotten older, right? I'm 38. You said, I think it was before the show started. You're like, oh, I've had older brothers before, so you called me old essentially. Uh, but I'm older, so like the way that I spend my money now is just like, I love the Canes, but God, I don't want to go watch them lose by 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns,
Because
or the
Yeah.
that's the
Seminoles, who are
majority of
what,
our
four
life.
and six now.
Well,
Like I,
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, my experience with that is I was born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm
hmm
still out here.
Mhm.
I still live in Utah. Um, I've been a Canes fan all my life, but when people talk about like, hey, are you going to Dallas for the
to
LSU
travel.
game, or are you going to Atlanta for the
Yeah,
Alabama game? I'm sitting here like punching that into the computer, and it's like it's going to cost me $1,500 to
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
Buy a ticket,
yeah,
To
hotel
watch
room.
them lose.
$2,000 for
Yeah.
like a weekend
Yeah.
to watch my favorite team get their teeth kicked in. Like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get what you're saying, and it's kind of like I can't afford that. You know what I mean? I can't afford to go get
Yeah.
disappointed when I
right.
know I'm going to get disappointed,
Yes.
Yeah,
right?
I
Like
think
if the
that's.
Canes won,
I
cool,
think.
but I know
Yeah.
we're not going to.
I think this year, like I told you, I've been out on Manny Diaz since that
Yeah,
4th and 18th against North Carolina, like 2019. I think it was
yeah,
like game 3. I was like, oh, this guy ain't it, right? Like I knew he
yeah,
wasn't it before. Then when you look at the
yeah,
whole perspective of like, oh, he got hired within 6 hours and all that stuff, right?
yeah,
So this was like on the back of, because Mark Rick was such a blip in that, you know what I mean? Where it's like a 2-year thing. Like
yeah,
it's really it almost feels like a merge between Al Golden to Manny Diaz.
yeah,
But now with Manny Diaz, I heard a story, and I want your take on this, Jordan. Which something that bothers me, right, is that I watched Kane Sport, right, Kane Sport Live with Gary Furman
yeah,
and Matt Shodell, and they're telling a story from like last year's recruiting class
yeah,
where they're like at a
wow,
barbecue, right,
I
and
heard that.
Manny Diaz isn't talking to the recruits, right? Like he just refused to, like he was like everybody's at the barbecue, but Manny Diaz is only talking to his assistant coaches,
yeah,
doesn't even talk to the recruits. I was
He's like
like,
the
yeah,
shy
why am I
guy who
hearing?
doesn't want to go up to the girl.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why am I hearing about this now? Like,
yeah,
why do we like? I was like, why didn't I know about this the last time? I was like, oh, then I would have had a better perspective. But it's like they keep these
yeah,
things quiet because they want that access. I was like, I know Manny Diaz is a
yeah,
terrible recruiter, and B, the worst developmental coach of a defense in the
yeah,
history that I can remember. Like, I can't think of a guy, right? Because everybody that he has freshman year are great, then they just get worse.